Hi guys, I just had to get on here because I made the hideous mistake of going onto one of AD's lives. It was the live that I commented about earlier in that he was going to open something of your mind apparently. Anyway, he goes on in the video and he shows us these blurry pictures of blobs. And he shows us a blob as a little girl. Now, AD forces you to see something, and he forces you. He sort of says, this is what it is, this is what it is. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Right, so apparently it's a fact now that the little blob is a girl that he can see, and he sort of draws it out. And he says, you know, if you don't see it, I can never help you again. He's a pure salesperson. The verbiage he uses, it's salesmanship. He's literally admitted, well, he's admitted it. He's admitted it. They don't take no for an answer, and you have to buy something off them to make them go away. And it's the way he has engaged his audience in this live. He shows the blob and says, right, we're going to do a poll, because he loves his polls, doesn't he? He loves his polls. He said, if you see a girl, put G. If you can't see it, notice how he phrases that to those that don't see a girl, because there isn't one there. This is apparently a girl in the driveway with a woman, and this is where AD proves that he wasn't alone. And when he proves that the little girl is there, or people agree that a little girl is there, he goes, you see, I've just proved that. I've just proved that Chris Watts wasn't alone. Well, we already know he wasn't alone because his daughters were there. But anyway, AD continues. So he says the poll is that if you do one if you see a girl, and two if you think he's lying. Notice again how he phrases that. He doesn't phrase it one if you think I'm not lying, two if you think I'm lying. He says one if it's a girl, two if you think I'm lying. One if it's a female, two if you don't see it, if you can't see it. So it makes the audience work harder to try and see it. He says to stare at it, stare at it, stare at it, but don't look at it. Relax your eyeballs, but don't stare at it. Then stare at it, but don't look at it. And you'll see a woman with a ponytail and a top exactly like she's worn at the police station of NK. It's the same day. It's the day of the murders. You've got a woman crouching down, and then you've got a little girl there. So if you can't see a woman, let's do a poll. If you can't see a woman, put one if you see a female, and put two if you think I'm lying and you can't see it. And if you can't see it, I can never help you again. You see, because I'm genuine. I spend all my time on research, on data and metadata. And then he goes on about the speed of light. He says, this is the woman reflected in the side of Chris Watts' van, pixelated and blown up. Now you see the front of her, not reflected. So you see the ponytail. Right, but that's not the front of her, is it? That's the back of her. So what was on the speed of light reflected on the vehicle then? Because AD explaining the speed of light, apparently every time she moves, the shadow moves because the speed of light. Yes. Something to do with the speed of the light, and he didn't get any deeper than that. But yeah, one for female, and two if you think he's lying. So again, it's always about him. It's always about whether he's telling the truth, whether you need conviction, whether he needs to convince, or whether you're questioning his truth. All of his videos are based on trying to convince you of something that you know deep in your heart is absolute baloney. And so he's spending the entire video trying to convince you. Now, do you not think that if there was a woman crouched down wearing exactly the same outfit that she wore when she offered herself to the police station? If you think that a woman is going to wear the same hairstyle, the same top, the same handbag to murder people and then show up wearing the same thing at a police station, then I can't help you. No one ever questioned that. People are like, yeah, I see it. Because of course AD's convincing them. And if they get it wrong, if they don't believe it, they're out of the group. He can't help them. They're going to feel stupid because they can't see it. It's their fault. They can't see a woman in the blob here. Oh God, what's wrong with me? That's the way he makes you feel. So everyone has said, yes, they see a woman there. They see a woman there without thinking, hold on. Why would a woman be at the scene of the murders wearing exactly the same as she's wearing to a police station when she offered her services? Well, sure, that's a bit stupid. Yes, it is. And that's why it would never happen. There was no woman crouching there. The whole speed of light, da-be-da-be-da, And the fact that the way AD speaks to you with an utter disdain of you even disagreeing or questioning him keeps these people coming in more and more and more. And also, subs, have you never thought to say, well, AD, just ask Chris. You're in contact with Chris, aren't you? Just ask him. Why don't you ask him who was there or what the truth was? You notice that AD has never done that because he's not talking to Chris Watts. He's nowhere near talking to Chris Watts. Nowhere near. Chris Watts wouldn't give him the time of day. It's a complete lie. And if AD is making videos like this, trying to convince you of utter rubbish, that this person was there, that person, when he's in contact with Chris Watts and made a massive hoo-ha about that, you'd think that all the big bits of news that he has an insider that was then attacked, who's very close and is getting married to Dylan, who's Chris's best friend. Then you've got Shannon, who wasn't a best friend, but was a best friend after the murders of the family. You've got Cindy Watts and Ronnie Watts that apparently you're talking to. You've got another insider, Blair, who is close to Chris Watts. And you're talking to Chris Watts. You are right there, AD, at the front line. You are talking to Chris Watts. Ask him. Ask him. Let your subs see you ask him. That's what you're there for, isn't it? Why do you need to do data and metadata if you're speaking to the very person involved? Have you run that by him? Have you run past your theory with him, with Chris Watts, and see what he says? Ask questions, subs. Ask questions, because it'd be very, very amusing to see what he replies with. If indeed he doesn't block you immediately, ask questions, subs. Don't go on a live and agree with what he thinks you should do. If you see a blob, say, I see a blob, and see what happens. See how angry he gets and how immediately you'll be out of the group. Just watch it. Be true to yourself, guys. This is a man who is scamming you, is the worst scammer on YouTube. The worst. Morally the worst. He's gutter juice. Absolute baloney. And it would be all right if it was just baloney, but it's not. It's hurting the Ruzek family and the Watts family and everyone involved in that murder. He's been given the flip the bird by Nicole Atkinson. He's been told to stop by the family. He's been told by the Watts side they've nothing to do with him. He's been told by the Ruzek side they've nothing to do with him. You've all been told by Chris Watts he has nothing to do with the armchair detective, yet you still won't believe it because AD says it's doctored. It's not doctored. Nobody wants anything to do with AD. AD knows nothing more about the case than you do. All of these guests, all of these insiders, all of these pictures, it's all bullshit. All of it. Please, please stop giving your money to this horrific scammer. And ask questions at least. Do yourself a favour and have some self-respect, subs. Get some self-bloody respect. Have a good evening, guys. Oh, it just continues.